Welcome back. Last month, I did a review on the F1-75 Ferrari driven by Leclerc made by BAHRAIN. This time I have the same exact model but produced by BBR. It is the base model, the basic one that does not come with the leatherette base, but the model itself for either the one with the base or without are completely identical. You're just going to save a little bit money without the base. I also mentioned that I have mixed feelings about this particular model. Please pay attention to the closing arguments and you'll see why. This is the 2022 F1 Ferrari 75 driven by Leclerc in the 2022 Bahrain Grand Prix. And the overall shape of this model is pretty spot on, being that it's a BBR model. Wouldn't expect anything less from them from that. And moving straight to the wheel detail, because there are caps over these wheels, obviously you won't see too much detail. The covers are very nice for what they are. The center bolt is very accurate to the real thing, and then of course the scripting is very accurate as well. That F1 Pirelli, or F0 Pirelli rather. Moving on to the back of the model, I have to say this is one of the best LEDs that I've seen on the back of any of the other Formula One cars that I've reviewed this year. All of the expected diffusers and other panels are all there, so nothing missing. The exhaust is deep enough, the exhaust outlet is deep enough that it gives a sense of realism. It's not fully hollow, but again, it's deep enough that you don't see the end unless you look directly or show a light to it. So that's not bad. Surprisingly, the exhaust itself is chromed or polished very well, but it is discolored, so it does give the impression like it was heated. So I just find that a little interesting. Moving on to the front of the model. Here you have all the expected elements out of a premium model. These hooks here are attachments for all of the different planes for the front wing are very, very nicely done. Something unique that I haven't seen out of Spark is the attachments are actually metal. Not the ones that lay on the wing itself, but the ones that are the 3D are protruding out, and that is a very, very nice detail. Of course, you got the front antenna, or fork as I like to call it sometimes, and you have the other two here. These are very nice and very accurately done. The tires look as if this car just came off of the track from a few hot laps. That's how well scrubbed they are. That goes for the front and the back. Now, surprisingly, you have the vents on the side, and I was paid close attention to these because, as you can probably see, you can see the vent and then you see this black here, which on the camera, I'm very sure you're assuming that's because this is an open vent. Well, believe it or not, they're not open. So that does surprise me. So the BBR took the idea of using black paint for each one of these vents here, and it gives a impression that it is a true vent, especially in certain angles that you turn it in, because it can really fool you. But these are actually closed vents. They're not open. There was a competitor model company that had vents like this and they were actually open, but that's not the case with this particular Ferrari. So just something I noticed. Just like with the front wing, you do have the nicely done attachments which replicate metal. They're not metal. They use a very metallic paint that gives a sense of it being metal. You have the DRS apparatus as well, which is very, very nicely done, and there is a true split between the wing, as if you could just open this DRS. Wouldn't that be a nice feature if you could actually turn that open? Maybe write a letter to BBR or email BBR rather and ask them to do that. All of the decals and letters are fantastic. They look like they were painted on. That's how well they're done. There is no outline of a sticker anywhere to be found on these. So those are very, very nicely done. Let's take a closer look at this model. As we zoom in to this BBR model, so you can see there's a nice carbon fiber texture throughout the wing and the other carbon fiber bits. This is a carbon fiber piece with that checkered, and at first I thought this was inaccurate, but that is accurate to the real thing. It actually does look that way on the actual car. So I mentioned the print is so nicely done. It looks like it's painted on. There's no outline of any decal anywhere to be found. Now, these rivets or attachments, some of them, as you can see, have a 3D effect because it's an actual true. If you put rub your finger across there, you can feel the indentation of these particular attachments. But up here, these are just painted on. There is no indentation or anything. They're just painted on. Again, this checkered effect here is on the actual car, and BBR did include it, which is very good. The front suspension, all of the pertinent components are there. There's nothing missing. It's a closer look at the attachments I was referring to. They actually use metal on these, which is really, really nice. That carbon fiber pattern. Okay, let's look at this driver here. Now in the compartment, you have a very, very nicely detailed steering wheel. That's all of the information. You have that big LED screen in the middle. Turn towards the driver, show Leclerc. You can see there's a nicely photo etched seatbelt. That is a true stitched seatbelt. It's not painted on. The helmet detail is quite good. You can pretty much see all the script on the helmet, so there's nothing missing there. Again, the seatbelt buckles are photo etched, so those are very nicely done. Moving to the rear suspension, you have this nice little attachment there, and it is a metal piece. Carbon fiber throughout the rear wing, the DRS attachments, and that exhaust. Close-up of the wheels, that center bolt, and nicely scrubbed tires. The F1-75 2022 Ferrari, driven by Charles Leclerc. And now to my conclusions. Well, I hope you enjoyed that review of the F1-75 by BBR models. As I mentioned in the title, I had some mixed feelings about this model, and this is why. The BBR is a really great detailed model. It has everything that you would expect at that price point. That being said, there were some missteps, specifically the vents on the side of that model. They are not true vents. The illusion that they've put on there is fantastic, and to me it's more than acceptable. I don't need the holes in the side of the model. But if you're a stickler for true details, Looksmart, on the other hand, does actually have
the vents. So the model company I was referring to in the video earlier is Looksmart. That model is a very good model. I do not think it's as good as the BBR. It's pretty darn close, but it's not there. The rivets on the BBR, the ones that are painted that I didn't like so much because they're just dots, the Looksmart has all the rivets there, but they're just colored. They're not even colored. They're just the same color as the car. So they're just the mold color. So I don't like that aspect of it either, because to me that actually takes away from some of the realism of the car itself. The exhaust on the Looksmart is fantastic. It feels like it's metal. I think it is. And it is pretty accurate. The BBR definitely has the color, the discoloration effect a little bit better than the Looksmart. The Looksmart looks like the car has never ran. But both models have scrubbed tires. The decals are excellent. So you really couldn't go wrong with either one. It's really just a personal preference. Speaking of personal preference, I did a review of the BAHRAIN F1-75 about a month ago, and that is an excellent model, especially for the price point. The BAHRAIN is $99 US. The Looksmart is $230 US. The BBR is $300 US. If you were looking for the best bang for your buck, you wanted something that looks really good but didn't want to spend a ton of money on a model, the BAHRAIN is the way to go. That company's come a long way with their F1 Ferraris. Wish they would do it on their other cars, but the Ferraris they've made are excellent. They're not accurate to the real thing so much, but it's good enough that it's more than acceptable. It has both great shelf presence as well as observing on a turntable or wherever else. It's that good. The Looksmart is a great choice. The BBR is a great choice. Really, it's personal preference between the two. If it was me, I probably would get the BBR only because, well, I love Formula One and I'd want the most accurate model. But again, that's just personal preference. Please like and subscribe. That is the best way I'm going to know you're enjoying these videos. I appreciate your time and I look forward to seeing you next time.